Channel 1.
Hi, good morning everyone, and sorry for the delay. Welcome to this Greens EFA Group press conference on the ongoing situation in Serbia with the protests there and recent political attacks. We have on stage with us today Bas EICKHOUT, who's the president of the Greens EFA Group, Vuled Setsi, who's the co-chair of the European Green Party, Dobrica Veselinovic, who's from the ZLF party, an MP in Serbia, and of course Rasmus NORDQVIST, our MEP. And we'll go straight over to Bas, and let's start.
Thank you very much. First of all, good morning, everyone. I think we all know what happened last week, and I think I'm looking here at my colleagues, at my Green colleagues who were there when it was happening. But let me be very clear. We always in Europe stand for peaceful protests, for democracy and freedom. And that's what the people of Serbia are asking for. And that's also where we as a Green movement are always standing with. And that was exactly what my Green friends were doing last week when they were visiting Serbia in the parliament and later on in Novi Sad. The attack by Vučić on protesters, but also calling my Green colleagues green scum, is unacceptable. This is the example of an autocracy building within Europe, at the same time being an ally to Putin, and then attacking peaceful protesters and a political movement in Europe that stands with peaceful protesters and fighting for democracy and freedom. This is not where Europe stands for. And therefore, we also expect a full condemnation of these actions of Vučić by the leaders of Europe. And that's also why we have taken action by sending a letter yesterday to Costa, von der Leyen and Metsola. And we demand action from them. But we also want to go further. We do feel that the money, the funds that are being dispersed to Serbia need to be reviewed and need to be assessed. Because we cannot keep on funding a country that is more and more shifting towards an autocracy according to the model of Putin. And let that be a very clear warning also to Serbia. We will always stand for Serbia to access the EU, but as a free democratic country, which we will always stand for, and where we as Greens always will fight for, just like the peaceful protesters are doing on a daily basis. And we will continue to stand with them, because we believe in a free and democratic Serbia as part of the EU, and we will always fight for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for organizing this conference in the European Parliament. I think that what it is important is that it is not an isolated incident in a small country. It is about a government which threats their own people constantly and destroying the European dream on its own people, because, as we know, Serbian population would like to join the European Union, but they lost hope because they see inaction and they see silence from the European institutions. It is what's going on with Vučić is practically extremely dangerous, also because he's placing a deadlock when it comes to the European integration. And there is no other way than Europe that can protect the citizens. And Europe should be also able, together with the European institutions, not to have double standards. We cannot talk about democracy and rule of law inside the European Union, and when we are discussing with Vučić, closing the eyes and just make business as usual. That is unacceptable. We are expecting tomorrow, in the debate when it comes to the State of the Union, the President of the European Commission, as Marta Kos did rightfully so yesterday, to take a position. because democracy is not only for us, it's for everyone. I would like also to say that indeed Vučić is creating an extra tension and confusion, allow me to say, because it is not possible to close the eyes to somebody that is going to China, that is shaking hands with Putin, and at the same time he's shaking hands with us. This is not possible politically, and this also endangers not only the Serbian population, but also our own future and integrity. And I think, as Bas mentioned, it is an extremely important moment for the European institutions not to talk about the Greens, not to talk about the threats, which of course are unacceptable, or the lies, or the insults that we faced out of blue and without any reason, but to see what's going on with the protesters, with the movements, with the people, with the media freedom, to open their eyes to see exactly that Serbian population is expecting at this moment that something will happen. This incident, this horrible moment, is something that the Serbian people is facing every day, these threats, the fear that something will happen to them. And this is the moment for the European Union to keep a very close eye, to take measures, and to be able to help this country to have a real perspective towards the European integration, because this is the only way, and we will not remain silent. We will follow you, and we will do our best to help you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the invitation. I'm here as a representative of Green Red Front political party in Serbia, and first I am here to say apologies to our friends what they experience in Serbia. I think that I am talking in the name of the vast amount of people in Serbia. They were very pleased that you are here to see. You were in Belgrade and Novi Sad to see what we are seeing and what you are witnessing, unfortunately, as a population in Serbia for more than a decade. You saw that the repression of the system and the police violence and the media bashing of everybody who is thinking differently is huge. And we are here today to ask actively involvement of the European Union, of the European institutions and our political partners to be actively involved in the dissolving and resolving the political crisis in Serbia. There is one key word that I want to emphasize here, that is solidarity. We as a representative of the Serbian population, I think that we are talking in their name, that we need more solidarity from our European partners, because the future of Serbia is in Europe. On contrary to the president that he is visiting the China and, as you said, handshaking with the Putin, we see that the representatives of our political family and also wider European political leaders are saying that, yeah, Serbia presence is in Europe. So we are here as also a opposition to talk about what are the means of dissolving this political crisis. We are having differences and very kind of ways of how the crisis should be dissolved, but there is also one key demand: free and fair elections, and also free and fair media landscape, which are ongoing on the recommendations of the European Union and different commissions that are coming to Serbia in previous years, but basically nothing happened. So in these couple of days that we are here, we are sending this strong message. We need solidarity with the Serbian population, the students, the opposition, the unions, with the people on the streets. We need free and fair elections, and we need actively involvement of the European Union to achieve this kind of level playing field which we are lacking. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much, and I think the whole situation has been explained really well. I want to talk to you about what I saw in Novi Sad, and that was not just a few protesters. That was the Serbian society there. Yes, it was students, it was families, it was older couples, it was veterans, health workers, and it all started by a very long silence. That's not a violent protest. That's a society standing up for what they believe in and for what they want and for what they demand of their leaders. And we have to, as Europe, to stand by these people who, for 10 months now, has been fighting this fight. We also spoke in Belgrade before. We went to Novi Sad to civil society under an extreme pressure every day. We talked to journalists and media under extreme pressure every day. And this is what we have to face up to, both from the Parliament but from the institution, from EU. We have to demand that democracy is a given when you are a candidate country. And democracy is not just about making a cross every 4 years on a piece of paper. It's about being able to protest, assembly. It's about freedom of speech. It's about protection of minorities. And it's all these things that we need to fight for together with the Serbian society. Thank you.
Thank you all. We'll now go to questions. If I could ask you to state your name and media affiliation and to whom your question is directed. And I see Max's ever eager hand. Max.
Hi, good morning. Max Guerra for Politico. Thank you. So Manfred Weber, the chief of EPP, likes giving early press conferences. So at 8:30, we had the chance to listen to him, and someone asked about Serbia and Vučić party and the membership to EPP, and he gave a non-answer. He didn't commit to anything, so I was wondering whether you could comment on that and how you could pressure, perhaps, him from the parliament to kick SNS out of EPP, if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, it's always nice to reply to non-answers of Manfred Weber. Well, in the end, of course, they decide, right? So we can put pressure on them, can put political pressure, but it's in the end a decision by the EPP. But let me be very clear. The EPP has a long history of making mistakes with members in their family. And of course, one of the biggest and clearest one is Fidesz. And how long did it take before they realized that keeping them in the family is only giving power to those parties and is giving power and status to Vučić? And that is a bad mistake that the EPP should not repeat. It is now very clear, and for the EPP, one of their priorities is always security and fight for Ukraine and fight against Putin. Well, Vučić is from another agenda, and it's about time that the EPP acts on it and is really making sure that the party is not associate member anymore of the EPP. It's to them, but the non-answer from Manfred Weber cannot hold.
As a co-chair of the European Green Party, it is also our duty to put pressure. Indeed, when we received the protesters in Brussels, we received them in the European Parliament. I raised the question what the EPP is doing, and the answer of one of their representatives is absolutely this is a lie, they are not associate members. This is not the case. In their website, they are associate members, and the silence means, in this case, complicity. And indeed, the moment that the president, which is a president of the European political party of the EPP, but also of the bigger group in the European Parliament, claims that he teams up with people and parties with the rule of law, pro-Ukraine and pro-Europeans, I mean, this is in full contradiction, and I think the media should also put enough pressure that they kick them out.
Thank you. Do we have further questions in the room? If not, yes, you, sir.
Hrvoje Krešić, N1 Croatia. Now, there are rumors in European institutions, including European Parliament, that there are some sanctions against Serbia on the table. However, there's not a strong support for that. Do you see it as a possibility that in the not so distant future we will be able to have, the European institutions will actually make any serious moves towards Serbia, including what you're proposing to reconsider the EU funding of Serbian projects, and who do you see as possible allies in order to achieve that? Thank you.
Thank you. I actually do see a shift, and I mean, what we witnessed and what we experienced this weekend is everyday life for Serbian people. But I actually do think it also helped for more people to open their eyes and see how reality is, also politically and among our colleagues here in Parliament. So yes, I see it. I see a shift as well in the communication from Commission yesterday. So I think the moment is now to actually put pressure on. We are acting, as Bas was saying in the beginning, and I do see the beginning of a will to do it. That was diplomatic.
Shall I be less diplomatic then? No. I mean, in the end, it boils down to EPP. I think the momentum within the Parliament is absolutely growing. We see it with Renew as Social Democrats. We see that the readiness for action is growing. We see indeed within the Commission, Marta Kos more and more speaking out, which is a good development. But of course, we also still need the President of the Commission to step in there. And also, as you know, she is also EPP. And in the Parliament, the majority will be made by EPP. And we were just having that discussion. The non-answer of Manfred Weber is, of course, telling. Because he also could have defended. And that's also not what he did. They feel more and more uncomfortable as well. So I think the momentum is growing, but it's also very clear where the ball lies, in which court it lies, and that's the EPP, both in the Commission and in the Parliament. If they make the move, there will be majorities ready to act.
Thank you. We'll take a question now from Roland online. He's had his hand up for a while. Roland, can you connect?
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me and see me. My first question is to Mr. Veselinovic. So let's assume that the EU wants to do things. What are the concrete measures you think they can do, especially because you mentioned media and the electoral system, and it's, well, there's a, let's say, a big difference and hard to maybe pressure them. What do you expect from them to do? And the second one is more for the EP side. Is I'm happy to hear your optimism about the Commission and the EP, but we have a council and where we have a member state, Hungary, and Orban, who is still a good friend of Vučić, even though he is not in EPP. So do you think Orban can block any kind of EU action in this regard or not? Thank you very much.
So thank you. What we are basically asking is something that we are doing a couple years from now. So from the 2023 contested elections in Serbia and before, there are plenty of reports of pressures on the voters, of voter list, of plenty of irregularities through all of the electoral process and the pressure to the media. So they're all in the reports of European conditions or European Commission, all the reports, etc. But nothing really was done and deal with it in the previous years. So what we are asking is actively involvement. Also, we are talking a couple of years ago about some kind of fact-finding mission of the European Parliament to see on the ground what is happening. Also, we are talking not on the restrictive measures, on the people who are actively involved in electoral fraud, on the politicians from the Progressive Party who are doing wrongdoings in the process. Also, we are talking about closely monitoring from the European Union and the Commission side, different projects and funds that are put into the Serbia, because there is no such thing as corruption on one level. It goes through all of the system and into all of the pores of it. So there are plenty of things that should and needed to be done, but we are not seeing clear answer from the European Union and a clear approach for doing those things, because there is still ongoing issue that, okay, Vučić will provide some kind of stability, which he is not delivering, as we are seeing, not just for last 10, but more than a couple of years now, and that needs to be stopped. We saw and we hear what are the concrete measures from now, and that needed to be pushed more and more until we get the free and fair elections.
I think the key is that the European Union should show that Vučić has no immunity. I think that he feels that he is immune, because he has links with the biggest group in the European Parliament, because he has links with the institutions, because he can go to visit in Russia Putin, and the day after Costa is back to shake hands with him. So he feels immune. And I think the political message, obviously, is not against the population. We have to do everything to support them. But in order to support them, we have to break this in a clear way, because he plays in different fields and he wants to become the kingmaker. He said, I am the big man that I am received in China, with Xi, with Putin. You see, the European institutions, they are not acting, they remain silent. So that is the duty of this institution. Break this immunity and make him accountable on what he's doing.
When we are talking about a candidate country, there are rules. And this has nothing to do with what's happening in Council. This is happening in what the Commission is doing. There's the Copenhagen criteria we have to live up to. And I mean, anybody can go to Serbia and talk to 5 people in the street, and you can see there's clearly problems when it comes to these fundamental criteria. So there is a job for the Commission to just start on straight away. And I mean, we all know that any kind of progress right now is done without Orban. And I guess this has to be done as well.
Yeah, maybe a final word on Orban. If I would be Vučić, I would not rely too much on Orban. He has having his own problems, also funding problems. And in the end, he will only fight for his own cause. So if that's your ally in the Council, you're not in a good position, I would say.
Thank you all. Do we have a last question from the room? Yeah.
Just a follow-up question on EPP. We haven't heard any official statement from them regarding what happened to you in Novi Sad. Did you get something through private channels regarding the condemnation of what happened? And regarding Orban, when we media in Serbia, N1 Serbia, when we see what's happening in Hungary regarding media, where Orban took over all the media apart from few web portals, where can media draw the optimism that the same will not happen in Serbia regarding the reaction of the European Union?
I know personally Manfred Weber, also from my previous function, and he has ignored us completely. And that, for a Christian Democrat, even for a Christian Democrat, is unacceptable. And when it comes to the institutions, I think that we are waiting, as I said before, outside of Marta Kos, which was excellent because she's triggering a debate. Of course, a very clear position in the State of the Union of Mrs. van der Leyen, because as we said, the State of the Union and the democracy does not concern only European countries, but also candidate countries, and therefore it is very important that there is a clear position on that.
Yes, when it comes to media freedom, I mean, we all know where it's under pressure and also how the situation is in Serbia. And I think, first of all, it's about making the political pressure which is needed from EU. And second of all, this whole question of free media, and I mean, a vital part of any living democracy is also a question about how we organize ourselves here, about our budgets, about the coming MFF. It's a bigger question than that. How do we see and how can we protect this? But it will start here now by political pressure from the European institutions to protect, of course, free media also in Serbia.
Can I just, because I very well understand your question, and indeed it is shameful to see how far we have let it happen in Hungary. I think where your optimism can be is that the institutions have learned from Hungary. And I think we have already seen that also if you look to Poland. You're absolutely right. We've been inactive too long towards Hungary. And I think Hungary is really down a path very far away of how a European democracy should look like. But since then, we have taken actions also with conditionalities on funding. And this is also why we are making very clear the link also to funding to Serbia, who is also getting EU money to create a democracy that we want. And that conditionality should also be applied to Serbia, as now has been done to Hungary, but too late, you're absolutely right, but also as how it has been done in Poland, and there we have seen that elections have changed the course of that country. And that is still possible in Serbia, but you're right, we have been too complacent in Hungary. We have learned from it, but the big question still remains, has EPP learned from it? They are the key party here. They stood too long with Orban and let him create an autocracy within the EU while we were watching. They have the choice now. Have you learned from Hungary, yes or no? That's in the hands of the EPP. But the rest of the parliament has learned its lesson.
All right, I think we'll have to wrap up here so we don't mess up the order for the very busy press room this morning in Strasbourg. But of course, we have the debate later today, and we'll be happy to take any follow-up questions or interview requests from you on this subject. And we wish you all a good day and a good session. Thank you.